Yeah. How about a 5x5? Yadira, good to see you. Mario, how are you? Saguaro Christmas, good to see you. Yadira, how are you? Marmelo, great gig in the sky. Yeah, I've got questions about the Beeb too. Good to see you. Yay! There we go. Didi Razzle Dazzle, good to see you. Anka, how are you? Hey, Chris. Rona Cooley, Packers Girl, Truth Finder, Karma Chameleon, Didi Razzle Dazzle's here. Lisa Trimble, what's happening? Bill Herrera, Rona Cooley, True Crime Nut, Pamela Mulrow. Did I say that? Caitlin, how are you? Lacey Silver. Hey, Priska, what's happening? See, people, couldn't you all just put out a little phonetic help? Great Dane Mom, what's happening? Ian Wallace, good to see you. Glad that you're here. Kate Murphy with broken wings. Be happy. Catty Connie, how are you? Is that the Johnny Scoville? Holy hell, people. Johnny is in the house. That's a big deal because he's lazy, you know. Fluffy Cloud, good to see you. Abdazzle, what's up? Kathy Wright, Meredith Lynn, how are you, Meredith Lynn? Good to see you, Packer Girl. Susan Gardner from New Jersey. Excellent. Excellent. You know, Voldemort doesn't have a place there. Well, he told the courts he didn't. Somebody from his office allegedly told the courts that he didn't own property there because he's trying to duck out on his kid. Anyway, I had the basket in place. Right before I went live, Squirrel Nut Zipper was actually in the basket. Not exactly sure what her problem is. I think, you know, you go out of town and she gets spoiled. Yes, I am in my normal setting. I am back. You're normally on Reese's channel. Ah, nice. Guys, I love that. That's so cool. And see, now I got the whole computer set up again and I can actually this is where the next time I go to Bug Tussle, I'm bringing everything because it's so much easier for me to touch stuff. Did you ever notice how degenerates show background look like Epstein's Island? No, right. Unless you sent me an email that said that, you're the second person that's told me that. Sometimes I really lose track of who sends what because I start really trucking along, you know what I mean? And then I lose stuff. Lacey Silver, how are you? Good to see you. Tracy Murray, good to see you. Malcolm Chalmers. Texas Sunshine. Sis. Sick today, wanted to say hello. Well, thank you for stopping by, and I hope you feel better. How about some ones for our friend that's not feeling well? If you're new to the channel, ones can mean whatever it means for you. For me, I say, you know, thoughts and prayers. But if you want to do that Care Bear thing where you fire, you know, lovely stuff off of your tummy, knock yourself out. That works too. But because we all seem to get along, in spite of the fact that we're all different, we just use stuff like ones. That way I don't offend anybody by saying, hey, do this or do that. How about some ones for somebody? It kind of keeps everybody included. You know, I just set up those stupid bottles of tincture. If I end up burning my face, Johnny Scoville, the man could screw up anything with heat. Wanna Love, how are you? Good to have you here. Monica Larimore, Shauna B. I am going to get to this soon, people, I promise. Spicy Cat Foster. So we'll start firing it up a little bit and I'll ease into it. Obviously, most people have a bit of a background on Justin Bieber, right? Justin Bieber's a really talented kid that came out of, he's a man now, but he was a kid that came out of Canada. And he was discovered by Usher, right? Or that's how the story goes. And he was signed by Usher. And recently, he did something that in the world of today, he straight did the you-know-what slap to a whole bunch of people. And it's really odd. So the Beeb has unfollowed 5 people on Instagram. And he really has. I went over there and looked, and you can go to Instagram and you can check people and see who they follow and whether those people follow them back or whatever. For instance, Usher follows Justin Bieber, right? But as of either today or yesterday, Bieber no longer follows Usher. He also no longer follows, Scooter Brown. They're reporting that, you know, he's unfollowed Scooter Brown. Scooter Brown's not on Instagram. I guess he was active at one time, very active at one time. He's not now, he's gone. But he unfollowed Scooter Braun. Ryan Good. This is weird, man, right? This was the best man at his wedding. He unfollowed the best man at his wedding. Odd, right? Allison Kay. with a company called S&B Projects, and I guess did a bunch of work with the Bieber. Unfollowed Allison Kay, and then Kenny Hamilton is a former bodyguard of his. He bodyguarded for him for about 2 years, but he unfollowed him as well. He did not unfollow the diddler. Now, I'll tell you something. You want to put on your, hey, my fiance. I'm so glad that, when you stop in, it really makes it a lot easier to, it's nice when the Quibster's around. And I know it forces all of you in the audience to say hi to my fiance, but since all of you know her anyway, and chances are at least 3/4 of you probably met me from her channel anyway. Bieber is a hottie, says, who was that said that? AB Dazzle says, Bieber's a hottie. And you know what? Bieber's one of the most loved, honestly, beloved musical icons of his time. Whether you dig his music or not, I'll be honest, I couldn't rattle off 4 Justin Bieber songs if my life depended on it. I can't back that up. I couldn't rattle off I couldn't rattle off a Justin Bieber song. I don't know what Bieber's biggest hit is, but I'm telling you, aside from that, I really, really like Justin Bieber. I really do. The crap that this kid's had to endure in his life and the way that he's handled it. Yeah, he's gotten into some trouble. He did some stupid things when he was overseas, but he did kid stuff, right? The kind of stuff we did in high school that if he did, the entire world heard about it, right? Like he peed in a trash can somewhere he shouldn't have. And I mean, he did some silly stuff, right? But he's actually a pretty polished kid considering, right? Now, we know there's a lot of smoke concerning the fact that this kid may have been, that he's been abused. To what degree that means, I think it's almost a foregone conclusion that this kid was abused. And you can watch clips of film one after another of people treating him creepy with cameras on him. Like the guy that has that car karaoke sniffing him like he was a flower or something and talking about just how fantastic he smells. Do you realize that people sniffing on people like that is a fetish? There are people who derive, well, there should be, right? There should be, Reese. I hope you're feeling the love, Reese. It's hard at distance, but I really hope you're feeling the love. Yeah, pretty disgusting, right? True Crime Net, pretty wrong. This whole situation is so disturbing. But it's this is a fetish. They're filming it. The guy's sniffing him and talking about, I didn't smell like that when I was 16. I never smelled a 16-year-old that smelled like that. You sniff a lot of 16-year-olds, you pervert. I mean, that's just disturbing, right? It's just frigging disturbing. And then Jenny McCarthy. I mean, if a guy did to a 16-year-old girl what Jenny McCarthy did to Bieber, that guy would have got arrested. He'd have gotten canceled, right? There's not a person on earth that would have ever spoken to that man again. But she's straight. I mean, and he was uncomfortable as hell. When he came up to get the award, he said, I felt like I just got, right? And he did. There's a lot of truth to that. And she has, hands down, the greatest sense of humor of anyone I have ever met. And that is the truth. It's an absolute fact. You know something? I've been hearing that a lot lately. And you know something? We do a very different kind of show there. If you guys have never seen, because I know a lot of you are new here, but if you never saw me and Quibs do Cults and Crims, it's a very different kind of show. It's a lot more laughs. It's a lot less. It's really clowny stuff, but we really have a lot of fun. The Diddy documentary is running right now in the U.S. It is, and I will be doing a show on it shortly. Roll call is fast. 1.5 speed. Robin Bliss is going through it. So, as I said, this kid didn't really have much of a shot, but I find it really interesting that he has not unfollowed Diddy. What is he saying? Seriously, what's he saying? Here's something else. Bieber got ripped off for an absolute fortune. I'm not exaggerating. The kid got ripped off for a fortune, and he's looking into taking legal action against some people. Scooter Braun has not had the best of reputations, but a lot of other people. He is changing all of his management out, right? And he's relaunching in 2025, allegedly. He's supposed to be coming out with a whole new career. He's going to be rebranding himself and coming back out. And he doesn't look like he wants any of the trash, right, that has been a part of his past to be part of this new deal. But what's he telling the world by continuing to follow Sean Combs, but unfollowing Usher? And get one thing straight. When Justin Bieber unfollows Usher, it's not like me unfollowing somebody who might take 2 or 3 years to realize I unfollowed them, right? They may never know, if they've got any kind of a following. Justin Bieber, when I looked, he had about 850 people he was following, right? Not a lot, but a lot of times when an actor will do this, they will unfollow everybody at once. And it leaves the press and everybody guessing as to, well, then you better hold on really tight there, Quibs. If I'm the only one that can understand you, you better be holding on really tight. Gordon Fissel, good to see you. So what ends up happening now to me, and listen, pay attention, everybody. I'm not alleging any of this. This is just an armchair quarterback, right? Which is kind of what I do. But what if he's saying, you know what? Diddy's a scumbag, but he didn't touch me. We all assume that Diddy was all over this kid, but maybe it was Usher that was all over this kid, right? Maybe Diddy never touched him, even after everything that was said. And he's come out and he did that interview with that, Zane Lowe or something. You remember the interview he did where they asked him about Billie Eilish? So Bieber sits down for an interview, very casual. He's got on a basketball tee and a hat backwards, and he's just sort of chilling. And they're asking him questions. And when they start talking about Billie Eilish, it was a young girl who kind of, in a weird way, she kind of followed his path, because I think she did her first album, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe it was her first single or something, but she did it in her bedroom. Her brother helped her as an engineer, and the two of them pounded out hit after hit, right? And so I think he looks at this girl, and in the interview he says, I would do anything to keep her from having to go through with what I went through. That no one deserves that. No one should have to go through that hell. Now, hey Russ, good to see you. He didn't elaborate on what that hell was, right? But there's something with Usher, right? He knew the world was going to see this. Here's another thought. Diddy's already locked up, right? You think there's a chance in God's green earth that the feds haven't reached out to Justin Bieber? Now, I'm not saying that Bieber talked to the feds, because he doesn't have to. He could absolutely dodge that. They could subpoena him and he could still dodge that. If you don't want to talk, it's not like the movies, man. If you really do not want to talk, he's not a criminal. They got nothing on Bieber, right? They're not going to have leverage against this guy. A lot of times they get leverage against you, and they will manufacture leverage. I told you guys we're going to be talking more about the Tupac stuff. But when they wanted to get Keefe D, right? Keefe D, if you follow that case at all, Keefe D had a proffer agreement, meaning anything I say to you right now cannot be held against me, right? You're damn right I like your brand, Quibs. Nothing you say that day can be held against you. This is a proffer letter. You get anything you're going to say. So he starts talking about the Tupac hit. Well, how did they get him into the building to talk to him, right? He got pulled in for allegedly being part of a PCP ring. And what usually happens is they find somebody that's dirty and they say, hey, I need to get this dude. They get a confidential informant and they manufacture a crime. They send that confidential informant to go talk to some people they already know in the hood. And they say something like, dog, I can get some cheap PCP right now, man. Or I can get some really cheap blow or whatever. And they create a crime. And then the cops come in and they bust that crime. And the guy that set it up, he spends 2 days in jail. Looks like he got bailed out. Like, this kind of crap happens all the time. And then Keefe's in there freaking out because this is a pile of PCP. And they go, hey, man, make this go away. Talk to us about what happened in Las Vegas after that fight. The Tupac shooting. I'm telling you, that's how that stuff goes down. And allegedly, I'll do that on another day because I could go down that rabbit hole forever. But so what if Bieber has been pulled in? And what if Bieber listened to the questions, or he knows that, look, there are going to be people who are going to be indicted. There are going to be co-conspirators. We're going to hear a crap load of names when this enterprise letter drops. Maybe these 5 names might be on that enterprise letter. I mean, Scooter Braun just makes a lot of sense. The one that doesn't make any sense on this list to me, or 2, I should say, his best man, that seems odd to me, right? And Usher. Security too, right? How do you get angry at your security? Well, they didn't protect you. Why would you get rid of somebody you knew who was security? because they didn't do their job, and their job was to protect you. It's pretty crazy stuff. Yeah, this is exactly why in that interview, this is what he was freaking out about. Correct. That's exactly right. Sorry if this was not explained properly, but this is true. Proffer doesn't mean that you can't be charged with the crime. It means that they can't use what you literally say on a piece of paper. They can use that piece of paper to find other info. Absolutely. You know what else they can do? They can take that piece of paper, right, or that tape or whatever, and they can go chase down friends of yours and go, do you know what Tommy said about you? Yeah, they're lowlives, man. And it's a running Tony's Hooter. Good to see you. Millie the Dandelion. How are you? It is a running joke, right? This is no joke. This is something that people clown about all of the time. Sorry. This is something people joke about all the time in the feds. If you proffer anything, you're done, right? You send over a proffer letter, and in the feds, that they come in different varieties. This is a state variety, right, for KFD. But in the feds, when you send over a proffer letter, you're telling them everything you're going to do for them, and then they say, "All right, we'll do it." You don't know what you're going to get. You're not cutting a deal. That's going to happen at sentencing. They're going to go in and talk to the judge and say, "Your Honor, he was super helpful, and we believe you should get a downward departure of 1 point or 2 points or 3 points, or if it's wicked substantial assistance, they can say, we're going to take 10 points off." But that kind of crap doesn't happen very often. But when it does, everybody talks about it forever, right? Like Sammy the Bull's deal. And some of the other ones where you just go, God, help us. Hold on. Truth Finder, that's a terrible video to watch. I'm sorry that you had to see it. It's I don't go back and watch videos very often, period. I just don't do it. But that's one I don't need to watch. So what do you think? Honestly, do you think Bieber is getting away from these people just because he's disgusted with Hollywood? Because no matter how you shake it, you know what he's doing to replace everybody he's getting rid of? He's bringing in Johnny Depp's manager. Because apparently Depp had been at a real low point at one time in his career, and financially had been ripped off, and it's kind of the brand took a hit, right? And whether you guys realize it or not, Bieber's brand has taken a vicious hit. It really has. Everything you saw about Justin Bieber forever was, this is a talented musician. Every once in a while, you'd see some kind of a video that trashed him because he got a DWI in a Lamborghini, or he did graffiti somewhere. It was always silly kid kind of crap, right? Nothing really super major. He got a DWI, the kind of stuff that happens to a lot of teenagers. But I love this boat too. Yeah, having a family changes your whole perspective, to be sure. But I think I'm of the firm belief that this isn't just a matter of him saying, I want to swap out for Johnny Depp's manager, because this is a much cleaner version of Hollywood, right? Because no matter how you shake it, that's still a version of Hollywood, right? If Bieber went, I'm not even going to do a label. 2025, I'm coming out, I'm releasing music. It's going to be me. I'm not having anything to do with anybody that's ever been in this industry because they all suck, right? I might feel better about it. I think, and I don't mean feel better about it for him, because he can do what he wants. And I think he's probably making good decisions, right? But he's going to probably be within that framework. But follow me on this one, right? Because I'm not just babbling. If that's the case, if he's going to stay within the Hollywood system to some level, right? He's going to be in the entertainment business, and he's going to be hiring entertainment professionals. He's got new management that work for big dogs, heavy hitters, right? So it's not like he's stepping out of that. Then what are these people getting unfollowed for? If you're not just breaking away from all of that, you're pissed off at every one of these people, right? That he's still following a bunch of people that are in the industry, and he's still following Sean Puffy Combs. How the hell are you gonna? This Usher's his dog, right? This was his best friend. This is the guy that made him famous. This is the guy that handed him over, allegedly, to go on vacations, right, with big, powerful, rich people. Allegedly, Bieber went on a lot of vacations with a lot of men. It's horrible. Absolutely. No, I think being a new dad probably has a lot to do with this, right? I think it has an awful lot to do with this. Yeah, I'm going to do that. Sorry. Never change your heart. Bieber needs a lifetime of therapy like nobody else. Absolutely. You got to keep in mind what happened in this. This is really easy to start thinking about these people as entertainers, right? Bieber's an entertainer. He goes out on stage, he sings, he dances. The guy's got no shame, right? It takes an incredible personality, right? It takes an incredible personality to do that. Obviously, this kid's he's bubbling over with confidence. The truth of the matter is a little bit more dark, right? It really is. What ends up happening is these kids get thrown into a machine where they're rehearsing sometimes for 12 hours a day. And they're doing it for so long that it looks like like they're out there and they're dancing. These are Pavlov's artists, right? And when it's time for a break, allegedly, we're going to send you on vacation with a couple of bigwigs from the record label. We're going to take you to an island or take you on a boat or take you on all of these things. I think the Bieb's been conflicted for a very, very long time. I think he's been conflicted for a very long time. But I wonder, honestly, now in a really big way about whether or not there's symbolism in him not unfollowing Diddy. You think that's an accident? You think he just forgot that he hadn't unfollowed Diddy? This is a statement. Right? I don't know what it is. I don't know what the statement is, but I'll tell you something. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to at least take a shot in the dark and say, one of these dudes obviously bummed him out way more than the other. Right? After people, even after there was, there's been a lot made about how if he could do it all over again, he wouldn't have gone and recorded on that album with Diddy. Right? That's been reported by a bunch of different places that he said that. People in his camp have said that. He doesn't come out and talk about it much on his own, right? But he didn't unfollow the cat. Now, maybe he will after he gets found guilty or whatever, but he might. You know what? That's as good a theory, I think, as anybody else's. Wanna Love says, no, I think he still fears him. And that's a hard one to argue, right? It is. It's a hard one to argue. But since there's 560 of us here listening, but don't base that on the fear you see in videos of the two of them together, because that's manufactured BS. Honestly, the one video that everybody takes to talk about is the 48 hours, right? We're going buck wild. He and his best friend went down together. There were two dudes. There was very little time spent doing any of the kind of things that we would be freaked out about. It really was kind of a whirlwind tour. He stopped by and saw Bieber for a short period of time. And that was supposed to be a funny video that they made. But they didn't Pavlov dog the kid, right, to make videos. He looks confident as hell because they have drilled that into him, just like Britney, just like anyone else you see that can go to Vegas and do a residency. Because if you don't think that's where Bieber's going to end up someday, these people engineer, this is my opinion, right? Don't sue me. This is an opinion. But they engineer these. They pick them off from the herd. There are entertainers, and then there are entertainers you can own, right? Those are the people that, just crank out hit after hit after hit, right? They work forever, and then they go out to Vegas where they can do 5 shows a week, and they can do that for a year for $100 million or some outlandish amount of money, right? And it's a ton of dancing. It's a ton of choreography because they've been drilling on this stuff their entire life. Right? It's insane how much these people have to work to do this. And a lot of them start on that treadmill when they should be going to 9th grade history class, right? Or 8th grade history class. I don't know how old Blue Ivy is, but do you think she's taking dance classes? Huh? You think Blue Ivy might spend a few hours a day working? These kids get put on treadmills. It's absolutely horrific. Maybe that's what he's saying, right? Maybe these are the people that really held him in that machine, right? He didn't sign with Diddy. And maybe Usher ripped him off. Maybe he's found out what contracts are like. Who knows? Maybe as because they are starting to pick apart how he lost a ton of money, He got ripped off by a lot of people, and they're starting to peel that onion back. Maybe this has something to do with that. Or maybe he knows that these names are going to pop up on that enterprise letter. It's a theory, folks. That's all it is. But it makes a lot of sense, wouldn't it? Like, would you want to be following somebody that you know is about to get smutted up something fierce in that letter? We got Ben Affleck. How many rumors have you heard? How many videos have you seen or live feeds where people came on and said, you know why Ben Affleck left, don't you? Right? Because he knows he's in those freak off tapes. The feds told him, now listen, I'm not alleging this. I'm alleging that everybody alleges this. Right? If you follow the Diddy verse, you've heard everybody talk about this. Right? Because all of a sudden, now, if you watch the two of them on film together, he never looked particularly happy. Honestly, every time you saw the two of them together, he looked like he had just taken a small piece of cat feces and tucked it between his cheek and gum. You know, he just had that look on his face like life just sucked. Now, I watched that documentary. I don't think she's a joy to be around. You know what I'm saying? I really don't. However, I don't know that necessarily means that the feds it very well could. But that's as logical a guess. These people were ripping him off. Maybe all of these people were ripping him off. I don't know. He's very, very happy with his wife, the Biebs. Really, really happy with he seems to really be doing well on the whole family thing, and that's got to make you happy as hell, doesn't it? I mean, the guy seems to be really head over heels in love with his wife. They got a kid. They're just happy as crap on an appearance as a family. This is absolutely beautiful. And I'm pulling for this kid. Like, I can't tell you, for real. He comes out with a new album. I swear to God, I might download some of it. I just want this kid to win. You know what I mean? I really do. I want this kid to win. I feel like he you know, like there are so many artists out there. Look at Michael Jackson. You know the rumors about Michael Jackson? Joe Jackson allegedly chemically castrated the kid, gave him hormones to keep him from developing so that his voice wouldn't change because the Jackson 5 were making so much money. This has been alleged by a crap load of people for a very long time, which is one of the theories behind why he was more of a, honestly, asexual kind of cat. Didn't seem to like male or female, didn't seem to have any. Also, they steal your childhood. When you should be playing with Tonka trucks, they got you working for 15 hours a day, right? And they got you flying all over the world and sleeping in hotel rooms, riding from show to show in a limousine. And when you step out of the limousine, 4,000 people scream your name at the top of their lungs. What could possibly go wrong, right? When the concert's over and you're a 6-year-old boy backstage and there are 14 and 15-year-old girls in there trying to do things to you that should never be done to somebody that age, what could possibly go wrong? How do you think these people end up as screwed up as they are? I'm sorry, they all are. You know what I mean? This is when things happen in Hollywood, we go, it's Hollywood. What do you expect? You know what I mean? All of them are on drugs. Is that not an assumption, right? They're all on drugs. You know, they're all going to sex parties, like all of the things that we just kind of take for granted. Do I think Michael Jackson's kids are actually his biological kids? If so, I think that he probably inserted the stuff into a cup. I don't know that I believe at all that they're his kids, but there's really no way to tell. Allegedly, there was a surrogate, right? And allegedly, it was he impregnated the surrogate. The surrogate carried the kids for him. Who knows? But his daughter's doing fantastic. I don't know if you've been following that story, but his daughter is actually doing fantastic. She had a real rough go there for a while with chemicals, but she's doing pretty well. Wolfie says, I believe the allegations against him were bogus. Let me tell you something. Every 5 years or so, and I believe this, every 5 years or so, we get a little bit more tolerant as a society. Less people give a crap about the stupid stuff like the color of your skin. Honestly, all of that stuff, I do believe, no matter what they try to paint in the press and in the world, I believe every 5 years we get a little better in that. But go back to when Michael Jackson was being accused, and you're going to tell me they couldn't get juries to convict the guy? If that evidence was decent, that man would have been convicted, especially in that climate, because I'm telling you, guaranteed there was a racist cat or two on that jury. That's just kind of how it was. You know, it was way worse then. I struggled to believe that. And you can get upset with me. I don't think he had any interest in any of that. I think he was really messed up, but I don't think that he was messed up that way. Yeah, Michelle, the turkey baster is probably about the only way that was going to happen. Sharon Clark says, a great comment. Ding, 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 ding. All controlled by slimy old Clive. You know Clive, right? Hooved. It's got hooved. That was from my fiance. I hope she's still watching. Apparently, I don't say that right. You got to ask Quinn. I can't remember. She says hoof, I think, or something like that. Hoof instead of hoof. I don't know. The thing on the end of his little devil feet, right? And his bifurcated tail. And of course, he carries a hay fork. Yeah, in fact, he was a very, very odd person. I think we can all agree that he was a very, very odd person. I don't know if you ever have done a deep dive on this, but when they searched the guy's house, they found porn. And the porn was absolutely bizarre. Like he had cut out a bunch of different pictures and put them together to create his own kind of, but it wasn't the kind. Thank you, Shadow Woman. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. But it wasn't the kind of thing. He was a child trapped in a man's body. For the love of God, he built an amusement park at his house. You do that because you had a great childhood? I don't think so, right? You do that because you want a childhood that you never got. And sadly, I think that was the story there. Yeah, I do. I do. Thanks again. I do, and I think Shadow, I appreciate you. This is a good question. Surely things are slowly but surely things are coming out about Voldemort. Do you think that the floodgates are ready to explode? I think we're getting closer. We're going to need an arrest or a video, one or the other. We're going to need an arrest or a video. We're going to see. The world needs to see him take a bigger loss than is happening between the two attorneys, right? Say what you will about Voldemort and his team, but they have really successfully shifted the conversation from the allegations of this girl that was 13 at the time, right, to the legal battling and haranguing back and forth. In fact, as bad as it is, right, that they may end up getting hemmed up for using fake badges to go down and try to do a black ops campaign on the law offices of Busby and Associates, right? For real, that's what's being alleged. Even if that comes to fruition, the dude's worth $2.something billion. You sent 5 guys down with badges. If they hold their mud, right, they might get 3 years. Right now, you can get 3 years for that. First time offender if they've never done anything wrong. However, they've never done anything wrong, they're probably not going down there with fake police badges. That's the kind of thing that you do after you've gotten your adrenaline under control, right? You're probably not walking around with fake badges on your first time breaking the law. That's usually something that you'd have to work up to. Apparently, they needed stinking badges. Well played. Yes, apparently they did need stinking badges, and these didn't happen to be real. But even if you had to pay those people off $1 million a year to go do their 3 years, you got us talking about those fake badges, and we're not concentrating on the fact that this guy is accused of R-wording someone who was 13 with his homeboy. I'm sorry. With his business associate. I think that's what they are, right? Industry associates. Industry associates. Yeah, this is he won't do anything until after the Super Bowl. You know, here's the crazy thing. Here is the absolute crazy thing, man. Harold, there's no way you're wrong. There's no way you're wrong. Yeah, wait. Thank you, Sharon Clark. Harold, there's no way you're wrong, bro. You nailed it. They're not going to do it before the Super Bowl. You understand this weight reference? She's not telling me to hold up. She's making references to what Foxy Brown said when she heard about the bust, right? She said, wait. And she didn't put a question mark, right? Oh, they know, they allegedly know who all of those people are. Yeah, the fake badgers. But I think it's going to be interesting to see what's coming out because it is going to be coming out. I promise you it is. You know why? You know why. Come on, people, impress me. Do you know why I guarantee you this is going to come out and that this dude's going to blow up? You know why. Because he has $2.4 or $2.8 billion, right? as much of the BS that someone's going to have to go through with being called a slut and a whore and, every other accusation that they're going to be able to run at this person. Years ago, they passed something called the R-Word Shield Act. And it is designed to keep, back in the old days, if a woman said that man did this, they would find every guy that woman ever slept with and bring them into court. And it was assumed that if she slept with 6 guys, obviously she would have done it with the 7th, right? As sad and as disgusting as that is, they had to pass a law to stop that from happening, right? But they're going to do that to whoever comes forward and fights this guy. They're going to do that to her in the press. You're not going to be able to do it in court, but they're going to do it in the press. They're going to absolutely crucify the girl that comes forward. But you know something? Someone's going to. And there's 2 billion reasons, right? Aside from the fact that everyone's got to be getting really angry. And I promise that there are women out there right now. There are women out there right now that are on the edge of coming forward. And they're going to get angrier and angrier. And they're going to hear him keep saying stupid stuff like, I got a daughter that age. I got to explain this. I have a young girl coming up. You have a young girl. She's at that age where you're going to have to explain this. She's at the same age as the girl that you allegedly did this to. How about a little respect for that girl? Yeah, his son deserves the truth too. And with Busby now, here's the other great thing about the, so if by some chance this guy, he gets hemmed up, right? If he gets hemmed up and he gets brought in, Ramir is going to then go to the court and say, and serve papers again and say, I want this guy tested. And if he's in the detention center, it gets real hard not to give up your DNA when you're locked up. It gets really, really hard. Like they can fight it to beat hell, but they ain't going to get away with it. Right? He's going to end up, I promise you, there's too much money, right? I don't think, I'm going to tell you right now, Jaguar Wright says that he's bigger than Diddy. I don't know if that means that he harmed more people than Diddy. And does that mean he harmed more of them in an R-word kind of way? Because that seems hard to believe, right? I'm not doubting Jaguar. I'm just saying that if he's that prolific, then he's the scariest man on earth, right? Because they're not rushing forward to accuse him of this. Although we know that allegedly there are other cases waiting. I don't know why they haven't been brought. But the people from Voldemort's camp said this was not the only case that this guy brought up. Right? In fact, we know that there's also allegedly, from their own words, that there were male and females that alleged that this took place. Clearwater, Florida. Good to have you, Clearwater. I like that. You just need to, there's a little cleanup involved. Town's got a couple of too many cult members there, but it's a beautiful place. I was there with Quibs, and it was like the town's deader than Caesar at night. We happened to be there another time when there was a concert, and that was obviously, it looked like a real city. Jag said that he heard her personally, says Harold, and he did, right? And I think that when you hear her talk about Voldemort, it's personal, right? It is personal. There's a deep-seated dislike that the kind of stuff that you only get when somebody has done you completely dirty. So let's reiterate for the people that just got here. Justin Bieber, or let's recap, I should say, for the people that just got here. Justin Bieber has unfollowed 5 people on Instagram. Now, this may sound like, who cares, right? With everything that has been going on with this Diddy case and with Voldemort, the fact that Justin Bieber doesn't comment makes other people speculate. I'm here doing a show on this because Justin does things in a very cryptic way. And, there are people who say he should just come out and do this. If he wasn't scared crapless, do you think he wouldn't? That he has 100 or 99 reasons to be scared of coming forward. First of all, if what is alleged is true to have happened, right? That's a very difficult thing for a man who is heterosexual to admit. It has been alleged that this kid got passed around to executives, right? A lot of really disturbing accusations. He got passed around to executives. He may have been passed around to athletes. There's just a lot of really hard stuff to listen to, right? It really is. It's absolutely some of the most disturbing stuff. Surely I never had a doubt. If you were a Scientologist, the odds of you being on this channel, honestly, I would start buying lottery tickets. If there's a Scientologist that pops up in my chat and says they're a Scientologist, yeah, I'm going to start buying lottery tickets. His career took a dive, and his career took a dive for a reason. And the reason is the reason he's not coming forward, right? He will be lambasted, and they will treat him like the homophobic people will make meme after meme after meme. This was a black campaign against him. Honestly, that video of him purportedly doing what he did, that took some effort, right? You had to look at that and go through and cull it out and trim it the right and edit it perfectly to make it look like he was doing what he was doing. They're trying to make us I don't know what, but they certainly the entire narrative in Bieber's career changed like that. And he is not what he was, right? This is why he's hiring a whole new management team. I'm not making this stuff up, right? His brand took a hit. It sucked because if everything they're saying is true, then that makes him a victim, not a predator, right? A victim. It sucks that this is what he has to go through. And what's even worse is that it doesn't seem like Usher's getting hit, does it? Maybe that's what this is about, right? Maybe that's why he unfollowed him in such a public way. And it's terrifying. It's terrifying. He's become the poster child for everything that's wrong in this industry. You believe that, yeah? This individual, right? Justin is broken down on camera in so many different interviews. He has come out and been very, very honest about his substance abuse and how he seems to have hit rock bottom, not in his career, but in his life on multiple occasions. I think it's fantastic to see that he's getting rid of the people in his life that seem to have led him to the places that he was at. And you know something? I really do. I hope that every single vacation that young man took was healthy. I would love to believe that we're wrong about all of these things. I was happy as hell when I found out, when I did a little research on that Trey Songz incident with Odell Beckham, right? Odell Beckham Jr. and Justin Bieber and the alleged oral sex incident at the nightclub. When deep diving that, and seeing that exact same incident at the exact same time from a different camera angle, you will realize that what you're looking at is a person from behind who bends down to pick up a bottle of water. And the person that you see in front of him is 2.5 feet in front of him. If Bieber had his arms out like this, he couldn't have touched him. But it looks bad, right? It looks bad. And the guy that he's in front of is probably 6'5", 6'6", a very tall dude. And when he bends over, he touches Justin on the shoulder and turns him toward the camera because Trey Songz wasn't what they say in the feds, shooting jiggers, right? Keeping an eye out. He was getting ready to take a group picture. What you're seeing as they're all turning is for them to all come up and get a picture taken. It's not at all what it looked like, right? And when I see things that someone took that much time and effort to edit, I don't believe for a second the person that put that together believed. After seeing all of it, they knew that what they were leading us to believe wasn't what really happened. That smells of a campaign to smear somebody up, right? That smells like a campaign to smear somebody up. And there's a gazillion of these online. There's literally a gazillion of these online where something just looks a hell of a lot worse than it really is. That's not to say, by the way, that this kid wasn't abused. I believe he was. I hope that it was a lot less than we all assume it to be, because the silence has made people speculate. And the silence has made people look at every single image they can find of Justin Bieber with any guy. And there's a ton of pictures where there's a dude with his arm around Justin Bieber. I'm sure if we had cameras when I was a kid, there'd be a million pictures of me with my arms around homeboys of mine. And it wouldn't have ever been weird. But we didn't have those. And I usually was hanging out with guys my own age. You know, a lot of these pictures are with a kid that's 15 and a professional athlete that's pushing 30, right? Or is in his 30s. And he goes on vacations and parties with these guys. And it just seems to me that, you know, that when that video first broke, right, the speculation was, he wasn't performing a sex act. He was snorting something, right? Honest to God, I'm not sure how we would be, you know, it's a pretty effed up world when you go, oh, thank God he was just doing rails. You know what I mean? He was just snorting blow at a bunch of grown men. For a second, I thought that was something bad. Right? That is a crappy world to exist in, people. It really is. That's a crappy world to exist in. Matt, good to see you, man. Birmingham, UK. I love it. Welcome. Good to have you here. Yeah, so those old videos with this is another one that's worth talking about. By the way, have I ever let up on Diddy? Right? If you think I've recently cut a deal with the people at Bad Boy, I just got to keep it real for this. And I think this might explain somewhat why he has not unfollowed Diddy on Instagram, but he's unfollowed Usher and Scooter Braun and Ryan Good and Allison Kay and the bodyguard Kenny Hamilton, but not Diddy. So the really sus looking video is where you hear Diddy say, "You've seen 48 Hours?" He's talking about the movie, of course, with Nick Nolte, where Nick Nolte gets the character played by Eddie Murphy out of jail for 48 hours to help him solve a crime. That's the premise behind the movie. But he goes, "You've seen 48 Hours?" Okay, well, he's got 48 hours with Diddy. He and a friend had come down from Canada. It was two kids. And when they got there, it was a drive-by for all intents and purposes. They weren't going to be spending 48 hours with Diddy. That's just what it was said in the video. Honestly, you can deep dive this. It's not hard. But what did happen was they said, "Hey, we're going to shoot the video. And in the video, we're going to do this, this, and this." The second one was even worse, right? The second one where he talks about, hey, you haven't been calling me, right? How come you guys haven't been, you didn't have my number? He does the 555 thing. That was a skit. It was a skit the two of them were putting on. They thought it'd be funny as hell. It was Diddy going, "Yeah, you're a big man now, huh? You don't even remember me anymore." Justin Bieber can get on stage and look like the sexiest, most professional dancer and singer you've ever seen, and women will swoon worldwide. Ask that kid to do a little improv. You probably shouldn't put him on Saturday Night Live. The difference is he is Pavlov's entertainer. This kid has been drilled and drilled and trained and trained and trained and trained and practiced, slaving away from the time that he was, just growing hair on those armpits. I think the videos that I find really telling aren't any of those that look staged. The video where he goes to see Diddy and Diddy pats him down, that's a really weird exchange, right? But that's not staged. When those two are together and it's not staged, I'm fascinated by that. But most of the time when they were together, Diddy was trying to turn it into some kind of a publicity thing, right? Probably because the kid was a rising star that wasn't Diddy's, honestly. But he unfollowed Usher. He didn't unfollow Diddy. Makes you wonder, man. And I'll tell you what, if you follow how things do happen all the friggin' time, unfortunately, in the real world, this would follow a pattern, wouldn't it? Right? The pattern goes, allegedly, this happened to Diddy, right? Allegedly, Clive and a bunch of other guys at the top, maybe Andre, a lot of people allege that Diddy was a toy for a lot of executives who used Diddy, and Diddy performed the egg test in his own way or whatever, right? So Clive passes it down to Diddy. Diddy passes it down to Usher. Usher passes it down to Bieber. Bieber says, right? Bieber, whether you want to believe whatever, finds God, finds family, finds a different kind of perspective on life and a whole lot of backbone, because this is going to be a rugged time for the kid. I don't blame him for any way that he tries to heal from this. All of the people that want him to come out and bury Diddy and bury Usher, I get it. I'd like to see them pay for everything they've ever done, but not if it's at the expense of this young man. I think that he deserves better than that. It is, right, kid? It really is. And the worst part, right? I don't know that anybody can imagine the kind of hell that these people go through. And I know that there's a bunch of people that are going to watch this video who survived assault. And everybody that survives that kind of trauma has different kinds of scars from it. But this is a different kind of trauma. I don't think that. Think of what this meant, right? You get everything you want attached to the worst experiences of your life. And I think for a lot of people, especially people that enter that industry really young, it seems like it's just part of that puzzle. And there are people out there right now, right, that are saying the reason that Bieber's star dimmed, the reason that everything kind of changed, and now it's definitely different, right? Bieber kind of his career is taking a hit. It's why he's changing out management. It's why he's trying to plan some kind of a comeback. It's really been a very downtime in terms of production for the kid, right? It hasn't been for Usher, right? He's cranking along. He's doing stuff out in Vegas. He's killing it. Bieber also is noticeably absent from the halftime stuff, right? He's not doing anything with these people. That's odd, yeah. But to have your abuse attached to tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars, to have your abusers, the people that made you all of that money, has got to be, I can't imagine. And the whole world is watching. He couldn't walk away to get away from the world unless he buys 100 acres. It's a horrific feeling. I can't imagine what that would be like. I really can't. Yeah, exactly, right? Exactly. Can't possibly imagine what it's like for someone with all eyes on them. It's hard enough to deal with trauma in private. And we're on here. And this is a pretty, I'm not trying to blow any sunshine your way, but this is a pretty cool audience, right? This is not a place where we tolerate a lot of abuse, right? We try to run a fairly tight ship, but there are channels out there that when they bring up Bieber, they talk about this in a very different tone. And they talk about it like the kid was stoked, right? To jump on whatever train he had to in order to be successful. And if that meant, doing it. You can't fix stupid. And I think it's one of the reasons that he's reluctant as hell to come forward. And then on top of that, picture this. You come forward and you admit that. And there's going to be all the people that just immediately hate the people that did this to you. And there'll be an outcry of love for you and everything else. And then the whole world, as it starts to cook off a little bit, will go, so was this kid any good? Or was he just cute as hell and they wanted him as a toy, right? Having people write his stuff, doing auto-tune and all this stuff. They just created this guy so that they could do this to the kid. Well, that's what's going to go on in his head too. Imposter syndrome, right? Imposter syndrome. This is a real thing where you feel like you're not worthy of the adulation and you're not worthy of the all the nice things that people say about you and then the money that you make and all of the things that go along with that. And I don't blame the kid for however he deals with this. I just pray on a stack of Bibles that the kid is getting help, that he's not doing this alone. Where are the parents or the so-called parents in these situations? Well, that's the $1 million question right there, isn't it? I'll tell you where they were. If I had to guess, Cabo San Lucas, right? Maybe Paris. The first 6 months to a year, they're at every show. They're standing there like the proud parent on the sides. And then, that first year, the money starts coming in, and everyone's like, oh my God, can you imagine? Look at this money. It's just incredible. And they let it sit in the bank, and they're just so happy to watch their kid. And then, you know what? It starts getting boring. They're waking up in hotel rooms going, I'm getting kind of tired. I'm on the road all the time. This kind of sucks. The kid can't stop. But the parents peel off maybe 18 months in, something like that. And then they hire somebody that they really trust, right? To make sure that the kid's safe. But of course, the kid's got a per diem of probably 30 grand a week, right? Kicking around cash. So if you give your security guy 5 large, there's probably not much you can't get done. And it's also almost assumed, right, that your bodyguard is going to turn their back a little bit. I love Gene Deal. I know a lot of people don't, but I dig Gene Deal, and I've been pretty consistent about that. I like it. But you know what? I don't think Gene Deal was party to any crime, like the stuff that other people accuse, where bodyguards took place in assaults and things like that. I don't believe for a second that Gene Deal did anything like that. But I believe Gene saw some stuff, right, that according to Hoyle, probably should have called 911 on. You can't be a bodyguard and not turn a blind eye to that kind of crap. And I'm not saying hitting a woman. I don't think he'd put up with that without slapping him around. I'm not talking about that kind of thing. But blows getting done or dope's getting done. And there's a lot of illegal activity that hangs around backstage at a concert, right? And of course, I'm not saying any of this is right, because it's all absolutely foul, right? It's disgusting. But anybody surprised at the concept of a 16-year-old girl backstage at a concert? As foul as that is, it's been joked about since rock and roll started. Somebody help me with the name of that movie where the girl calls herself a Band-Aid instead of a groupie. The Floyd. Thank you, man. She is a lovely lady. Thank you, The Floyd. I really appreciate that. I do. I'm beyond blessed. I really am. It's almost famous. If you didn't get that, Quibs would. There you go. See, I knew my girl was going to get that quickly. She's I'm not going to lie to you, people. It's not a huge amount of why I'm going to marry Reese, but it's a chunk of it. You know what I mean? As you get older, you hear me do this on the boat all the time. I'll go, oh yeah, that movie with what's his name? About the thing what they did in the place, and you're like, oh God, he's losing it. The crazy thing is, if I give that sentence to Quib, she'll go, almost famous, and then she'll tell me the names of the people that were in it and when it was made. Yeah, it's very convenient. And now I'm getting to the point where I don't even have to finish the sentence, and even if it sounds absolutely ridiculous, she usually knows what I'm talking about. Lady Warrior, I love that. I love that, right? My 16-year-old daughter would be caught backstage over my unalived body. I respect the hell out of that. I really do. Yeah, Reese. Well, I said it's a small percentage. It's a small percentage of why I loved you. Go back. That's what I said. It's a small percentage of why. Well, anyway. My 16-year-old daughter, yes. So, Lady Warrior, usually, and this is sad but true, a lot of the people who are 16-year-olds that end up backstage aren't going home to parents afterwards, right? Honestly, the kind of people that link up with roadies and go on road shows and go across the country. I mean, if you've ever read any of the books written by groupies, like Confession of a Groupie or any of those other ones where they start to really break down some of that lifestyle, and it's fairly terrifying. Oh, I love that. I love that. Thank you, Tommy Bird. See this? That's why I hang out with you guys. My husband doesn't know any celebrity names. Didn't even know who Diddy was. Stop it. I'm not buying that, Rambo. Everybody knows who Diddy is. Well, maybe not. You know something? Although, where was I? Quibs and I. We were looking at a property together in Bug Tussle. And, inevitably, you're going to get this. So what do you do? And we said, well, we're YouTubers. And what do you talk about on your channel? And, Quibs says, I talk about just about anything. it's kind of anything goes. And that if you've never been over there, somebody put up a link to Quib's channel. It really is anything goes. It's one of those kind of channels. It's kind of fascinating. And it's whatever it is, it's always crowded, it's always fast, and it's always funny as hell, right? And she goes, "What about you?" I go, I talk about P. Diddy. Like I spent a lot of time talking about Diddy these days. And she went, "Ooh, let's talk." Everybody, that's honestly what she said. She's like, "Ooh, let's talk." She was excited as hell at the prospect of getting some good Diddy dirt. For real. But everybody knows who he is now. I am thoroughly convinced, people, and I would need a really seriously intelligent person who does this for a living to talk me out of this, right? I love that. My daughter is 15, and because I have been backstage, she will not go. Marmelo, God bless you. You know what? That's honestly 90% of good parenting, right? 90% of good parenting is when you say to your kid, "No, you're not doing that," because I did that, right? Oh, wow. Lady Warrior says, "Tommy, the clincher is my father was in the business, 68 through 71. That's a rugged time to be in rock and roll right there, man. That's think of all of the bands that would have been around 68 through 71. I know the business. That is why I asked my daughter to stay away." God bless you. That's what you're supposed to do. I'm sorry, for real. That's what you're supposed to do. Reese will make you pee your pants. It's probably just as good a way to put it as anyone. In fact, you know how often someone will either say, you have me peeing myself, or I spit coffee. I bet we've had 1,000 comments, all on Reese. Like when we did Colson Crims, I just spit coffee all over my car, all over my office. Really, really funny stuff. James Collins cares. I'm going to have to go duck as well. My back, people, is still giving me the business. And hey, Quibs, I love you. I'll talk to you shortly. And I got to go and get. I really got to go and get this. Well, I got to figure it out because it's becoming a bit of an issue. So, but I want to thank all of you for your patience, especially for me floundering through the first 2 attempts. I'm not exactly sure what's up, but it's working right now. So that's something. All right, people, between now and the next time that I see you, do me a favor and reach out and try to save somebody. Huh? I promise you it's worth the time. And the cat's playing with Johnny. I'm a little tired of that. See you on the next one, peeps.